Hello, everyone. Welcome back from vacation. I hope you all had a restful break away from school. Um, Before vacation, I did a PD over Backchannel Chat. So this is the asynchronous version of that PD. We're going to actually start with um, not here in the contents, but actually in Backchannel Chat itself. So this is what it looks like when you come into it. I already have a student in here who's actually me on a Chromebook, but this is what it would look like in general. So I'm the teacher, but my student Sam is the student. So I'm going to send a message here so you can all see it. I have it set up so that I have to approve every message before it can post. So once it posts, there it is, and I can respond back and say, "Hello, Sam. Sorry, my thing's in the way." Up there and hit record, hit send, and it will send that out as well. Because I'm the teacher, I'm set it all up. So this is kind of the what Backchannel Chat looks like on the user end of things as a teacher version. And students see exactly the same thing as I see, except if you were to purchase this, which we'll get to in a little bit, then I would see uh, their names, but the students would not. Students would see a very basic, like oops, sorry about that, would see a different name or an animal name, I think it is, that they would have in here. So again, it's just, how is it going? Just literally a chat board. That's all it is, where students can discuss things and respond to each other, but the teacher has the control over what's going on in the chat. So we're going to start by exploring, which we just did, kind of a look at what a chat would look like. Then we'll get into how to start one, the options of the chat while you're in there, and some thoughts about how I've used Backchannel Chat in the past. So let's get going. First, we already did this. We're going to look at the link. We've already done that, taking a look. So one of the things that's great about this, all students can contribute a question. I've found a lot of success in engaging students who are not usually part of the class. As a student who was not participatory in class when I was a student, when I was a kid, this would have been a fantastic way for me to participate in a safe way without putting myself out there. Because talking in front of people was terrifying to me when I was a kid. It still is, but I've kind of moved past that. The paid version, which is, like I said before, $15 per year, allows students to be anonymous, which I would have loved. And that's the way I've always gone about this when I've used this in the past, is that I just paid the $15 so that all students can post anonymously. But when they post, I can still see their names before I approve them. You can embed videos or files right into the chat. It'll just put it right in there. It works on every device because it's web-based. There's an app for iPads and phones, and you can download a copy of the chat for later on if you want to. The free version is very basic. The $15 a year version has some really great bells and whistles, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So let's start a chat. I'm going to skip off of here and into Backchannel Chat for a second. So all the stuff that we'll be talking about will be in the slideshow of the slide deck if you want to look at it. So you have, if you are a student, you would join here. They'll put their display name in there and the code that you'll get in a few minutes. This can be a little tricky sometimes. Students, will try to be somebody else or whatever. So it does take some kind of management to make sure that everybody's who they say they are. So we click on the blue button here first, try free as a teacher. You'll put your email address in, the display name that you want people to see. So I'm going to use my full name, and then you get to pick the title of the Backchannel Chat. So let's call it, let's see, what do I got here? Test. We'll call it test 2. New one. I'll start it. And when you start it, it brings you to this page. You have the Backchannel help right here at the very beginning. So you've got the list of participants over here. You can set it so that if the students are only read only, they cannot contribute. Again, it tells you kind of the basics. You can send the students the link to join in there if you want to have it so they just set up the just click the link and it'll take them right there. Or you can use this last, the QRABE, and that will, if you put that into that first page, it'll take students right there. Then the basics of how this works and any information or an email to kind of get in touch with them. Well, that's it. Once you're set up, you're set up. Now, here's the bummer part about the free version is that once it's set up, that's the only one you get in the free version. In the paid version, you can have multiple chats all labeled and ready to go. So if you have, like when I taught, I taught science all day, so I have 4 blocks of science. So I'd have a block 1, a block 2, a block 3, and a block 4 chat all set up and ready to go. The free version, you get 1 chat, which means that you can reuse the same chat over and over and over again, but students, it keeps the same login stuff. So a student from a previous class could theoretically join the class that you're in at the moment, not their class. It doesn't change it. So if that was the case, then you could just lock that student out and deal with them at a later time. But that is one of the downfalls of this, is that for the free version, you only get 1 chat to use. So it is a little bit limiting. But you can clear the chat between each chat, so the previous classes wouldn't see what the previous class chat would be cleaned out, so you wouldn't have students seeing what they did if they were doing the same work. There wouldn't be any other answers in there previously. You could download what was already there and then clear the chat, which we'll get to in a few minutes. You could also lock this, so end of the day comes, you don't want students in here goofing around, you can lock the chat. Which means that nobody can get in and out. Nobody can get in. Nobody can post anything. They can just be in there doing. It'll just be an empty thing. So that's how you start it off. It's pretty straightforward. You do need an email address, so make sure you put your email. It doesn't care if it's a school email or a personal email. It doesn't care one bit about how to do that as you get started. So the next part is options on how to do this. Again, I have all of this stuff down on the slide deck, but I'm going to show you on the actual chat itself. So we can start here. Students have the ability, when they click on that icon right here, when they click on that, they have the ability to change their little icon here. They can change it to there's a whole bunch of different little avatars that they can choose from. I always give students like a minute to pick what they want, and then we move on. In the teacher version, you really don't. It's just kind of set that way just because it's the teacher. But let's see, like when I click it, it doesn't change anything. But in the students version, they can change that kind of stuff. So there's here, you get full screen view if you want to have it as a full screen. Here's the lock button again that we were talking about earlier. And then here's the settings that teachers have to work with. And again, this is the free version, not the pay version. So we'll talk about it we'll talk about it from both ways. So there's download transcript, which if you want it as a regular old PDF, you have to be a member. But you can download it as a web transcript and then go up to, then save it as a PDF that way. Works just fine. And then you have it saved, or you can print it off on your own. If you want to clear the room, there's the clear room button right there. The chat stats will give you, there's none here because we just started, but it would tell you how many chats have been sent by each member of the group. If you were using the paid version of this, it would have their names on it. Actually, it doesn't matter. The free version doesn't make any difference. When they have their name on it, it'll tell you how many chats each kid sent. It doesn't tell you who, because they're just sent into the big chat. Students cannot have private chats with each other. That does not how that works, but teachers can send a message to a student individually in the paid version. Then there's the options menu. So you have the room title right here. This right here is how you get away with how you use this chat with multiple classes, but with only 1 chat room. It just requires an extra step every time. So if, let's say my block 1, we were using this and we spent the entire class doing it, I would set a password up that was maybe block 1 or class 1 or a dog or something like that, right? And then at the end of the class, if I didn't want students to come back into my chat from that class into my next class, then I would go back in here and I would change the password to something else, maybe cat or something. something ridiculous, so that the only people who would be able to join in the chat are the people that have the password for that class during that moment. Everybody else would be locked out because they wouldn't have the password. So this is the way around that whole students from other classes coming in and joining you when you don't want them to. You can change this to show who enters and leaves, and allow auto-embedded materials. Leave that there because it's very useful. Student control, again, not much in terms of the free version, but in the $15 a year version, you can send private messages. You can hide the details from other chat members. Like I said earlier, have students upload and share with your moderating them beforehand. They can embed chats in websites, so you could look at it later if you wanted to. Way, whatever. Put it all together, and then banner images. In the messaging thing, this is really the only option no matter what. Moderate every message allows you to have to approve every single message that's been sent. This is a fantastic feature. It's honestly one of the things I like most about this is that I have that control as the teacher to decide whether or not a post gets posted or not. That's not just useful in terms of like kids just posting random things into the chat just to be silly, because that's what they do, but it also allows the teacher to be able to check with students in a formative way as well. So for instance, one of the ways that I've used this in the past is if we are talking about a broad idea, a really big concept, and I want students to write a summary, just summarize it in 2 sentences about this idea, whatever the idea might be. I have students type their summary into Backchannel Chat. What this gives, and then what I do once they put it in there, since I have to approve it, I have to read each one relatively quickly, but it also gives me a chance to go over to student A and say, oh, dude, you're super close with this right here. This is where you made your mistake. Why don't you copy and paste this, fix this one thing, and then try to post it again, and then I'll delete their post so that they start again and fix whatever mistake, whatever issue, whatever vocabulary issue, whatever it might have been. They can fix that. So now I'm not only posting this for everybody else to see, which we'll get to the benefits of that in a moment, but also to be able to give myself a quick formative check-in with each student. If they got it, everything is good, that everything looks right, except for maybe some spelling errors, some punctuation errors, I'll just approve it. And it'll pop right up for everybody else to see. If I don't, and they missed something and I want to go back and check, I want them to go back and fix something, I can do a quick feedback with that one student, a quick conference, just be like, hey, blah, 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 make sure you got this. You got everything else right. But this part, let's talk about this real quick. And then they put it up again there, and then I approve it. What I like to do about this is, rather than every student taking notes, for instance, on whatever it is that I'm talking about, this is a nice change of pace, because what you can do is have students every student puts their summary in there, and then every student reads them as they come up. They're all anonymous if you pay for if you do the $15 a year. Otherwise, they'll have the student's name beside them. But they're there, and every student reads it. So they're seeing the same content over and over and over and over again. They're getting that repetition. But also, one student may phrase it in a way that makes more sense to somebody else, and that they say, oh, that makes total sense to me. Thank you so much. And then they can use that person's summary for their notes, because that makes the most sense to them. And if it's theirs that makes the most sense to them, then they can use their own. There's also, and I'm going to get out of here real quick and switch back over to this. There's also a thumbs up button here in the chat. What that allows you to do is kind of vote. So what I've done in the past is had students read them all as they go, and then as the final person posts their last one, say, all right, everybody put a thumbs up next to the summary that they felt was the most clear and most concise for them, the one that made the most sense to them. And by the time it's done, almost every single person gets at least one thumbs up. Sometimes I've said, okay, that's the one where everybody's going to use. We're going to use that one because that was the one that had the most thumbs up. But most of the time I've left it up to the students to decide which one worked best for them, which language worked best for them in the summaries. So that's a long way around this idea of moderating every message. But again, it's a very useful tool, not just to keep students from posting silly things in there about their cats and dogs, but also a way to use it as a formative assessment. The last one's polls, which again it's available in the paid version. There are better polls. This one's fine, but there are better ones that you can use. So that's the chat settings. The last setting here is the invite. This is where you find the share code for students along with the link for students. If you want to have another teacher join you, this is how the teachers would put this code in there so that they could join in as well. So if you have an ed tech in your room who is also kind of part of the group or is scribing for another student or anything like that, then they could join in as a teacher. Or if you have if you're co-teaching, and they can help you with the approval process of other students if you're doing it in a formative way. There's profile pictures. Again, you can upgrade and get more of that kind of stuff. The teacher one is very basic. When you're in the student version, here it is. So Sam is being kind of a pain in the neck. I don't want him to post. He keeps posting the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. He's not being a very helpful part of class. He's not really contributing to the conversations. You can click read only mode. And when that's on, students can't post. They can only read. They can't do anything else inside of it. It's like kind of putting them in timeout. They're there. They can participate in what's going on, except that they can't post anything to the rest of the group because they've lost that privilege, which is unfortunate. But it's nice to have that tool there for them to use, for you to use as the teacher, just in case. So those are the basics of how this all works. I'm going to go back over to the slide deck. So here's the options for teachers. There's this download transcripts, invites, options. Ending the chats. Again, we talked about the idea. It's going to be super important unless you change the password after their last class of the day so that no other students can get in there. It is important that you lock it in the free version so that nobody can be posting anything and students can't be having conversations inside of your chat after school or during a study hall or a time when they're not supposed to. So setting that lock is a very important piece of this. All right, last part. So some different things, different ideas for using Backchannel Chat, because chat room is one of those things where, it's kind of a weird idea of using a chat room. I'm 43 years old, and I remember chat rooms when they first came out, and that kind of being a little odd to use it in my classroom as a teaching tool. But always thought that it would be a really fantastic way to do it. That anonymity, that students feel that they can post whatever they want online in a comfortable setting. Kind of Backchannel gives that ability of that anonymity with the control of a classroom, which I always thought would be a really great idea and exists. So it's worked out perfect. We have students defining terms like we talked about earlier, or writing summaries, sharing book reviews, expressing an opinion about a topic or a concept, providing evidence to support a claim. These are all that's a million ways that this could be used in a classroom setting. I would love your ideas. If you have some, you want to send them to me, I'll add them to this onto this slide so that other people can kind of benefit from what a way you might have used a chat in the past, or an idea of how you would use this going forward. So that's that. If you have any questions, please send me an email. You can follow me on Twitter, or if you're on this slide deck, which you can schedule a meeting through bookings with me anytime. Feel free to get in touch if you have questions about Backchannel Chat or would like something a little bit more specific towards about Backchannel Chat. Or if you have some tech integration need that you are curious about or want some help with, please feel free to reach out anytime, and we'll chat and see what I can do to help you out. Thank you so much. Have a great day.